The year was 2347. Humanity had spread across 12 star systems. They built colonies on distant worlds. They created space stations that floated among the stars. They believed they were alone in the universe. They were wrong. Captain Taeyeon stood on the command deck of Orbital Defense, Platform 7. The platform floated high above New Busan, a colony world that was home to 3 million people. Taeyeon had served in the military for 15 years. He had seen many things, but he had never seen anything like what appeared on his screen that morning. The sky above New Busan tore open. It was not like anything in the science books. The tear was black and red. It pulsed like a living wound in space itself. And from that wound, ships began to emerge. They were not like human ships. They were twisted and wrong. They looked like they were made from bone and shadow. "Sir, we are detecting unknown vessels," said Lieutenant Yuna. She was young, only 28. But she was the best officer Taeyeon had ever worked with. Her voice was calm, but her eyes showed fear. "How many?" Taeyeon asked. "Hundreds. Maybe thousands. They are still coming through." Taeyeon watched the screen. The ships kept pouring from the tear in space. They moved toward New Busan like a swarm of hungry insects. He had trained his whole life for war, but this was something different. This was not war. This was an invasion from somewhere else entirely. The first reports came from the surface within minutes. People were screaming. People were going mad. Soldiers dropped their weapons and ran. Civilians fell to their knees and cried. Something was attacking their minds. Something was filling their heads with terror, so pure that they could not think or move or fight. Taeyeon felt it too. It was like a pressure inside his skull. It was like a voice whispering that he should give up, that he should surrender. That resistance was pointless. But Taeyeon did not surrender. He pushed the feeling aside like it was nothing more than a headache. "Lieutenant, can you feel that?" he asked. Yuna nodded. Her hands were shaking slightly. "Yes, sir. It is like something is trying to get inside my mind, but I can resist it. I do not know why, but I can." This confused Taeyeon. The reports from the surface said that people were losing their minds completely. But here on the platform, his crew was scared but functional. They could still think. They could still fight. "All stations, prepare for combat," Taeyeon ordered. "Whatever these things are, they bleed. And if they bleed, we can kill them." The battle began. The alien ships attacked the orbital platform with weapons that fired beams of pure darkness. The platform shook with each hit. Fires broke out on the lower decks. But the crew fought back. They fired missiles and plasma cannons. They destroyed dozens of enemy ships. Then the enemy changed tactics. They stopped trying to destroy the platform from outside. Instead, they came inside. Taeyeon was on the command deck when the wall exploded inward. Standing in the smoke and fire was a creature from a nightmare. It was tall, nearly 3 meters. Its skin was the color of dried blood. Its eyes burned with yellow fire. It had horns on its head and claws on its hands. It looked like the demons from ancient Earth legends. The creature looked at Taeyeon and smiled. It was a terrible smile full of sharp teeth, human, it said. Its voice was like rocks grinding together. "I am General Krath of the Voidborn. Your species will make excellent slaves. Kneel before me and accept your fate." Krath released a wave of psychic power. It was meant to break minds. It was meant to fill Taeyeon with so much fear that he would fall to his knees and beg for mercy. This attack had worked on 17 different species across the galaxy. Every civilization the Voidborn had encountered had fallen to this power. Their victims went mad or became mindless slaves. Taeyeon felt the attack hit him. It was stronger than before. Much stronger. He saw visions of death and destruction. He felt ancient terror trying to crawl into his brain. For a moment, his knees felt weak. Then the moment passed. Taeyeon raised his plasma rifle and aimed it at Krath's head. His hands were steady. His eyes were clear. "You should be screaming," Krath said. The demon's smile faded. Something new appeared on its face. Something it had never felt before. Confusion, maybe even a little fear. You talk too much, Taeyeon replied. He pulled the trigger. The plasma bolt hit Krath directly in the face. The demon roared in pain and stumbled backward. Green blood poured from the wound. It was not a killing blow, but it was enough. Krath looked at Taeyeon with pure shock. This is impossible, the demon said. No species has ever resisted us. What are you? I am human, Taeyeon said. And you are on my station. Get out. He fired again. And again. Other soldiers joined him. They poured fire into the demon general until Krath had no choice but to retreat. The demon tore open a small rift and escaped through it, vanishing back to wherever it had come from. The battle lasted for 6 more hours. More demons came. More demons died. The orbital platform took heavy damage, but it did not fall. On the surface below, the story was different. Many people had been taken. Many more had died. But some had survived. Some had fought back. When the demons finally retreated, pulling their ships back through the great tear in space, Taeyeon stood among the wreckage of his command deck. His uniform was torn and burned. His face was covered in ash and blood. But he was alive. His crew was alive. Yuna walked up to him. She looked just as damaged as he did. But there was something new in her eyes. It was not fear. It was hope. Sir, I have been monitoring communications from the surface, she said. The people who survived the psychic attacks, they all have something in common. They are all human. What do you mean? The colony had some alien visitors. Traders and scientists from other species. They are all dead or insane. But the humans, many of them survived. Our minds did not break like the others. Taeyeon thought about this. He remembered how the psychic attack had felt. It was strong, but it was not overwhelming. He had pushed it aside like it was nothing. At the time, he thought he was just lucky or strong-willed. But maybe it was something more. Get me a channel to Earth Command, he said. They need to know what happened here. They need to know that something is coming. Something that has conquered other species. Something that thinks it can conquer us too. He looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, the demons were regrouping. They were probably confused and angry. They had expected easy prey and found something else entirely. But they made a mistake, Taeyeon said quietly. They picked a fight with humans, and we do not lose. The first battle was over, but the war had just begun. The news of New Busan spread across human space like fire. Within days, everyone knew that aliens existed. But these were not friendly aliens who wanted to trade or share knowledge. These were monsters. These were demons from another dimension, and they had come to conquer. Earth's United Defense Council met in an emergency session. Leaders from every human colony joined through holographic communication. They argued and debated for hours. Some wanted to hide. Some wanted to surrender. But most wanted to fight. The only problem was that no one understood why humans had survived when other species had not. The answer came from a research facility in Seoul. Dr. Hannah was 32 years old. She had spent her career studying human biology and genetics. She was brilliant, but quiet. She preferred her laboratory to meetings and speeches. But when the council asked for answers, she was the one who found them. Humans are immune to the void-born psychic attacks, she told the council. Not completely immune, but resistant enough to function. Other species collapse immediately. We get headaches. The question is why? She showed them her research. Millions of years ago, Earth had been touched by dimensional energy. It was the same energy that the demons used. No one knew how or why it happened. Maybe a natural rift had opened briefly. Maybe something else entirely. But the result was clear. Life on Earth had evolved alongside this energy. It was woven into human DNA. Other species never encountered this energy until the Voidborn attacked them, Hannah explained. Their minds have no defense. But humans have been living with trace amounts of it since before we were human. Our brains adapted. We built natural shields without even knowing it. This was good news. But Hannah had discovered something even more important. Some humans are not just resistant, she said. Some humans can push back. She showed them video footage from New Busan. In one clip, a young soldier named Jiho was surrounded by 3 demons. They hit him with their psychic attack. He should have fallen. Instead, something strange happened. The attack seemed to bounce off him and hit the demons instead. All 3 collapsed, their minds destroyed by their own power. "We are calling this ability reflection," Hannah said. "Certain humans can absorb demonic energy and send it back. We do not fully understand it yet. But if we can find these people and train them, we can build a force that the demons cannot defeat." The council voted unanimously. Project Vanguard was approved. Across human space, testing began. Every soldier, every civilian, everyone was scanned for resistance levels and reflection ability. Most people had basic resistance, but a small number had something more. They were brought to training facilities and prepared for a war, like any humanity had ever faced. Lieutenant Yuna was among the first to join. During her testing, she demonstrated the strongest reflection ability anyone had seen. When researchers hit her with simulated psychic attacks, she did not just block them. She grabbed them with her mind and threw them back with twice the power. "How does it feel?" a researcher asked her. "A ball made of darkness and fear," and then throwing it back at the person who threw it. Sergeant Minho was different. He had no reflection ability at all, but his resistance was off the charts. Researchers hit him with psychic attacks that should have killed him. He just stood there and smiled. "Is that all you have?" he asked. "My grandmother hits harder than that." Minho was a weapons specialist. He was big and strong and loved heavy guns. He had been fighting in small conflicts his whole career. Now, he finally had an enemy worth fighting. Private Jiho was the youngest recruit. He was only 19. The incident on New Busan had awakened something inside him. During testing, researchers discovered that he could not only reflect psychic energy, but absorb it completely. He could take the demon's power and store it inside himself like a battery. Then he could release it as a devastating attack. "This is dangerous," Hannah warned. "We do not know what happens if he absorbs too much. He could burn out. He could die." "Then train me not to," Jiho said. "I did not ask for this power, but I have it, and I am going to use it to protect people." Captain Taiyun was chosen to lead the first Vanguard unit. He had proven himself on New Busan. He had stood face to face with a demon general and made him run. More importantly, his soldiers trusted him. They would follow him anywhere. The training was brutal. They learned to fight in ways that no human had ever fought before. They learned to use their resistance as a weapon. They learned to work together, combining their abilities to create effects that none of them could achieve alone. Yuna taught other soldiers to strengthen their mental shields. She showed them how to feel the psychic attacks coming and how to brace against them. Not everyone could reflect like she could, but everyone could resist better with training. Minho taught combat tactics. The demons were strong and fast, but they were arrogant. They had never faced an enemy that could fight back. This made them sloppy. Minho showed his fellow soldiers how to exploit their weakness. Jiho struggled at first. His absorption ability was powerful but unstable. Sometimes he took in too much energy and collapsed. Sometimes he released it at the wrong moment. But day by day, he learned control. Day by day, he became something new. Something the demons had never seen. Taeyeon watched his team grow stronger. He watched them transform from ordinary soldiers into something extraordinary. But he also watched the news. The demons had not attacked again yet, but everyone knew it was only a matter of time. "Why do you think they are waiting?" Yuna asked him one night. They were standing on a balcony looking up at the stars. "They were confused," Taeyun said. "They have never lost before. They are trying to understand what went wrong, but they will come back. And when they do, they will come with everything they have. Will we be ready?" Taeyun thought about his team. He thought about the other Vanguard units being trained across human space. He thought about all the ordinary people who were learning to resist, learning to fight. "We have to be," he said. "Because if we are not, there will be no second chance. The demons will not make the same mistake twice. Next time, they will try to wipe us out completely." 3 months passed. The vanguard units completed their training. Weapons were built and ships were prepared. Humanity had never been more united. Every colony, every nation, every person understood that they were fighting for survival. Then the alarm sounded. The demons had returned. And they had brought an army larger than anyone had imagined. Taiyin gathered his team. They were called Vanguard 7. They were the best of the best. And they were about to face their first real test. Remember your training, he told them. Remember why we fight. We are not just protecting humanity. We are proving that the darkness can be defeated. Today, we show the demons what humans can do. They boarded their ship and flew toward the battle. The war had truly begun. Ember Station was the largest human outpost in deep space. It floated at the edge of explored territory, a city of steel and light that was home to 500,000 people. It was a place of science and trade and hope. And now it was surrounded by 10,000 demon ships. Archon Velos had come personally. He was the supreme commander of the Voidborn, the demon who had conquered 17 civilizations. He had never known defeat. He had never felt fear. When his General Krath returned from New Busan wounded and confused, Velos decided to see these strange humans for himself. What he saw intrigued him. What he felt confused him. When he reached out with his psychic power toward Ember Station, he felt something he had never felt before. Resistance. Not just from a few individuals, but from thousands of minds pushing back against him. Interesting, he said to General Krath. These creatures have some kind of natural defense. No matter, we will break them through numbers alone. Surround the station. Let nothing escape. We will crush them slowly and study their bodies afterward. The siege began. Captain Taeyun arrived with Vanguard 7 on the third day. By then, Ember Station was already damaged. The shields were failing. The outer sections had been breached. Demons walked the corridors, killing anyone they found. We need to push them back, Taeyun told his team as their ship docked. The station cannot survive a long siege. We need to break their lines and give the fleet time to arrive. The fleet was coming. Every human warship in the sector was racing toward Ember Station. But they were still days away. Until then, the people on the station had to survive on their own. Vanguard 7 spread out across the station. Each member took a section and began to fight. Minho was assigned to the eastern corridor. This was the most damaged section. Demons were pouring through a breach in the hull, dozens at a time. The regular soldiers there were barely holding on. When Minho arrived with his heavy plasma cannon, they cheered. Get behind me, Minho told them. I will hold this corridor. And he did. For 6 hours, Minho stood alone at that breach. His cannon fired so much that the barrel glowed red and then white. When it finally melted, he picked up a fallen demon's weapon and kept fighting. When that broke, he used his fists. The demons could not believe it. This one human would not fall. This one human would not run. They hit him with psychic attacks again and again, but he just laughed. Is that supposed to hurt? He shouted. My training sergeant hit harder than you? By the time reinforcements arrived, Minho had killed over 200 demons. He was bleeding from a dozen wounds. His armor was destroyed. But he was still standing. On the other side of the station, Yuna was leading psychic warfare operations. She gathered every person with even a little reflection ability and taught them to work together. Alone, they were weak. Together, they were a wall. When the demons launched their biggest psychic assault, trying to break the minds of everyone on the station at once, Yuna led the defense. Hundreds of human minds linked together. They caught the attack and held it. Then, with Yuna directing them, they pushed back. Across the demon fleet, soldiers collapsed. Ships crashed into each other as pilots lost control. For the first time, the Voidborn felt their own weapon used against them. Archon Velos watched in disbelief. What is happening? He demanded. Humans, Krath said. They are fighting back. Not just resisting, fighting. Impossible. But it was not impossible. It was happening. Jiho was in the civilian section, protecting the families who had nowhere else to go. Children cried and adults prayed as demons tried to break through the doors. Jiho stood in front of those doors with his hands raised. When the demons came, he absorbed their attacks. Every psychic blast, every wave of terror, he pulled it into himself. His body began to glow with stolen energy. It hurt. It felt like fire inside his veins. But he held on. "You will not touch them," he said. When he had absorbed enough, he released it. A wave of pure power exploded from his body and vaporized every demon in the corridor. The backlash knocked Jiho unconscious. But the civilians were safe. Hannah found him later. She was moving through the station, treating the wounded with her medical skills. When she saw Jiho lying on the floor, she feared the worst. But he was still breathing. He was still alive. "You foolish boy," she said softly. "You could have killed yourself." But she was proud of him too. They all were. The siege lasted 19 days. 19 days of constant fighting. 19 days of blood and fire and death. The demons threw everything they had at Ember Station. The humans refused to break. On the final day, Taeyeon led a strike team directly into Archon Veloz's command ship. It was a desperate move. Suicidal, some said. But Taeyeon knew that killing the enemy leader was the only way to end this. The strike team cut through the demon ship, room by room. They lost soldiers along the way. Good men and women who gave their lives so that others could advance. Taeyeon felt each death like a wound in his own heart. But he kept moving forward. Finally, he reached the command chamber. Archon Velos was waiting for him. The demon lord was massive. He towered over Taeyeon like a mountain of darkness. His eyes burned with ancient power. His voice shook the walls when he spoke. "You are the leader of these annoying insects," Velos said. "I have watched you. You have caused me great trouble. But it ends now." Velos attacked. Not with weapons, but with pure psychic force. He poured millennia of power into a single devastating assault. He showed Taeyeon visions of every civilization he had destroyed. He showed him mountains of corpses and oceans of blood. He showed him the fate that awaited humanity. Taeyeon saw it all. He felt the weight of it pressing down on his mind. For a moment, just one moment, he almost gave in. Then he thought of his team. He thought of Minho holding that corridor. He thought of Yuna linking minds together. He thought of Jiho protecting those children. He thought of Hannah healing the wounded. He thought of every human who had refused to surrender. He took a step forward. Velos's attack faltered. "What are you doing?" Taeyeon took another step, and another. He walked through the psychic storm like it was nothing more than rain. "Your kind has conquered the weak," he said. "But humans are not weak. We were forged in struggle. We do not break. And now, we are coming for you." He raised his weapon and fired. Velos screamed and fell back. The demon lord was not killed, but he was hurt. Badly hurt. He fled through a rift, abandoning his fleet, abandoning the battle. Without their leader, the demon forces fell into chaos. The human fleet arrived and destroyed them. The siege of Ember Station was broken. Humanity had won its first major victory. But Taeyeon knew this was not the end. Velos was still alive. The demons would return. The war was just beginning, but for now, for this moment, they had proven something important. Humans could win. Humans could fight back against the darkness, and that was enough to give the whole galaxy hope. The news of Ember Station spread beyond human space. It traveled through secret channels and hidden networks. It reached worlds that humanity had never visited. It reached species that humanity had never met, and it changed everything. For thousands of years, the Voidborn had ruled a vast empire. They had conquered 17 civilizations. They had enslaved billions of beings. These aliens lived in constant fear. The demons fed on their terror. They used them as workers, as soldiers, as cattle. No one had ever fought back. No one had ever won, until now. The first alien ship arrived at Earth 3 weeks after the siege. It was small and damaged. It had traveled through dangerous space to deliver a single message. The aliens inside were strange creatures with 6 limbs and crystal-like skin. They called themselves the Morith. They were the first species the Voidborn had conquered. "We heard what you did," their leader said through a translation device. "You defeated the demons. You made them afraid. We have waited centuries for someone to give us hope. Please help us." More ships followed. The Velen came next, tall beings with silver skin who could see in the dark. Then the Kos, small and quick, who had been forced to fight for the demons as shock troops. Then the Nira, who had no bodies at all, only minds trapped in crystal prisons. Each species had the same story. The demons had come. The psychic attacks had broken their minds. They had fallen in days or weeks. They had been slaves ever since. But now they had heard about humans. They had heard that someone could resist. They had come to beg for help. The United Defense Council faced a difficult choice. Humanity had barely survived the siege of Ember Station. Resources were limited. Ships were damaged. Soldiers were tired. Going to war across the galaxy would cost many lives. Many humans would die to save species they had never met. Captain Taeyon, a promoted to commander, addressed the council. "I know what you were thinking," he said. "You are thinking that this is not our fight? You are thinking that we should protect our own borders and let the aliens save themselves. I understand, but I cannot agree." He showed them images. Alien worlds covered in shadows. Cities that had become prisons. Beings tortured and killed for the demons' amusement. "We did not ask for this immunity," he said. "We did not earn it, but we have it. Every day we hide behind our borders. Billions suffer under demon rule. They cannot fight back. We can. That is not luck. That is responsibility. That is who we are." The vote was close. But in the end, humanity chose to fight. Not just for themselves, but for everyone. The liberation campaign began. Vanguard units deployed to 18 enslaved worlds. Each mission was different. Some required stealth. Some required overwhelming force. All of them required courage. Minho led the assault on Corva Prime, the Velen homeworld. The demons had built a fortress there, a mountain of black stone filled with slaves and soldiers. Regular attacks had failed. The psychic defenses were too strong. Minho did not care about psychic defenses. He loaded his team onto dropships and flew directly into the heart of the fortress. The demons hit them with everything they had. Terror waves that should have stopped an army. Minho just laughed and kept shooting. "Cannot scare me," he shouted as he kicked down doors and freed prisoners. "I have seen things scarier than you in my nightmares. Now get out of my way." The fortress fell in 6 hours. 10,000 Velen slaves were freed. They looked at their human rescuers with something close to worship. On another world, Hannah worked a different kind of miracle. The Nira were beings of pure thought, trapped in crystal containers by demon technology. Their bodies had died centuries ago. Only their minds remained, screaming in eternal prison. Hannah spent weeks studying the crystals. She developed a treatment that could free the trapped minds and give them new artificial bodies. It was not perfect. Many Nira could not be saved. But those who survived wept with gratitude. They had been imprisoned for 500 years. Now they could move again. They could touch again. They could live again. "Thank you," their eldest said to Hannah. "You have given us something we thought was lost forever. Hope." Yuna led psychological operations across the campaign. She broadcast messages on demon frequencies. She spoke in 100 languages, reaching every enslaved species. "We are not afraid," she said again and again, "and neither should you be. The demons are not gods. They are not invincible. They can be hurt. They can be beaten. Rise up. Fight back. We will help you." Her words spread like fire. On world after world, slaves began to resist. Small rebellions at first, then larger ones. The demons had relied on fear for so long that they had forgotten how to fight a real war. Jiho became a symbol of the liberation. He was young and kind and impossibly powerful. When he walked onto a battlefield, demons ran. When he stood before slaves, they found courage they did not know they had. On Thorn Station, prison facility where the demons kept their most valuable captives, Jiho faced a demon lord alone. The creature attacked him with psychic fire hot enough to melt steel. Jiho absorbed it all. His body glowed like a star. He did not even look angry. He looked sad. "Your people have caused so much pain," he said. "So much suffering. It ends now." He released the stolen energy in a single focused beam. The demon lord died instantly. The station was freed. Planet by planet, system by system, the Voidborn Empire crumbled. Species that had been slaves for centuries stood free for the first time. They joined the fight. They learned from humans how to resist the psychic attacks. They built armies and ships. What started as a human campaign became a galactic uprising. Commander Taiyin watched it happen with quiet pride. He had lost soldiers along the way. Good men and women who believed in the cause. Their deaths weighed heavily on him. But their sacrifice had meaning. Every freed world was proof of that. "Do you think we can really win this?" Yuna asked him one night. They were on a ship traveling between liberated worlds. Outside the window, stars burned bright. "I think we already are winning," Taeyeon said. "Look at what we have done. 18 worlds free. Billions of beings no longer slaves. An alliance of species working together. A year ago, none of this seemed possible. But Velos is still out there. The demons still have their home dimension. They could come back." Taeyeon nodded. "They will come back. They will try something desperate. That is what tyrants do when they are losing. They burn everything rather than accept defeat. And when they do, we will be ready. We have come too far to stop now. We have given too much. We will see this through to the end, whatever that end might be." Yuna smiled. It was a tired smile, but it was real. "You sound so certain." "I am," Taeyeon said, "because I have seen what humans can do. And I have seen what happens when we inspire others to do the same. The demons should be afraid. Their time is ending. Ours is just beginning." Somewhere in the demon dimension, Archon Velos plotted his revenge. He would open the Great Rift. He would flood human space with endless armies. He would destroy these annoying creatures once and for all. But the humans were ready. They had always been ready. And when the final battle came, they would meet it head-on. The sky above Earth tore open. It was not like the small rifts that had appeared before. This was something else entirely. This was the Great Rift. A wound in reality itself that stretched from horizon to horizon. Through it poured darkness and fire and the largest demon fleet anyone had ever seen. Archon Velos had played his final card. He would open a permanent gateway between his dimension and human space. Through this gateway, endless demon armies would pour forever. It did not matter how many the humans killed. More would always come. In time, even the strongest resistance would fall. "We cannot close it from this side," Hannah reported. Her voice was calm, but her face was pale. "The anchor is in their dimension. Someone would have to go through and destroy it." Commander Taeyeon looked at his team. They had been fighting together for over a year now. They had liberated worlds and saved billions of lives. They had become more than soldiers. They had become family. "I will go," Jiho said. He was not the frightened young recruit anymore. He had grown into a powerful warrior. His absorption ability had saved countless lives. "I can survive there. The demonic energy will fuel me instead of killing me." "Not alone," Yuna said immediately. "We go together. All of us." Minho nodded. "If this is the end, I want to be there. I want to see the look on their faces when we break their gate." Hannah closed her eyes for a moment. Then she opened them with determination. "Someone needs to treat wounds. Someone needs to keep you all alive long enough to finish this." Taeyeon looked at each of them in turn. These brave men and women, who were willing to walk into hell itself. He had never been more proud of anyone in his life. "It's Vanguard 7, he said. "One last mission." They boarded a small ship and flew toward the Great Rift. All around them, human and allied fleets battled demon warships. Fire and light filled the space between worlds. But Vanguard 7 flew through it all, focused on their goal. The ship entered the rift. The demon dimension was everything they had feared and worse. The sky was the color of blood. The ground was made of black stone that pulsed like living flesh. The air itself seemed to scream. This was a place of pure horror, designed to break minds and crush spirits. Taeyeon felt the pressure immediately. It was stronger here, at the source. Even his trained mind struggled against the weight of it, but he pushed forward. He had come too far to stop now. Stay close, he ordered. Do not listen to the voices. Focus on the mission. They moved through the nightmare landscape. Demons came for them almost immediately. Not just soldiers, but monsters of all shapes and sizes. Things with too many eyes, things with no faces. Things that defied description. Minho held them off. He stood at the rear of the group, his heavy cannon blazing. For every demon he killed, 2 more appeared. But he did not retreat. He did not slow down. Keep going. He shouted to the others. I will catch up. But he never did. They heard his cannon fall silent eventually. They heard him laughing, even as the demons overwhelmed him. He died as he had lived, fighting to the last breath, taking enemies with him until the very end. Hannah felt a tear slide down her cheek, but she kept moving. The landscape changed as they approached the anchor. The black stone gave way to something like glass, through which they could see other dimensions. Other worlds. Other realities that the demons had conquered. The anchor was close now. They could feel its power pulling at them. A wound opened in reality beside them. More demons poured through. But this wound was different. It was growing. It was threatening to split the dimension itself. That wound will tear everything apart, Hannah said. If it reaches the anchor, the explosion will destroy both dimensions. Ours and theirs. Can you seal it? Hannah looked at the wound. It would require everything she had. All her knowledge, all her power, all her life. Yes, she said quietly. I can. Hannah no, but she was already moving. She ran toward the wound and threw herself into it. Light exploded from her body. The wound began to close. Hannah screamed as reality tore at her, but she did not stop. She held the wound shut with pure will until it sealed completely. When it was over, there was nothing left of her, not even ash. She had given everything to save them all. Taeyeon, Yuna, and Jiho pressed on. Their hearts were heavy with grief, but they could not stop. Not now. The anchor stood before them. It was a tower of black crystal that reached into a sky that had no end. Power flowed through it like blood through veins. At its base, Archon Velos waited. You have come far, the Demon Lord said. He looked different than before. Wounded. Tired, but still terrifying. I respect that. But it ends here. You will not destroy my anchor. You will not close my rift. You will die in this place, and your species will follow. We will see, Taeyeon said. The battle began. Yuna engaged Velos psychically. Their minds clashed across dimensional frequencies. She threw everything she had at him, memories and hopes and fears twisted into weapons. He pushed back with millennia of experience and hatred. They were evenly matched. Neither could defeat the other. Taeyeon fought him physically. His human body against demon strength. He was slower and weaker, but he was also smarter. He dodged attacks that should have killed him. He struck back when Velos least expected it. He would not give up. He would never give up. Jiho watched and waited. He absorbed every stray bolt of energy that flew near him. Every psychic attack. Every wave of demonic power. His body grew brighter and brighter. It hurt more than anything he had ever experienced. He felt like he was burning from the inside, but he held on. Why won't you die? Velos screamed. He was losing. He could feel it. These impossible humans were actually beating him. 'Cause humans don't quit, Taeyeon answered. His voice was steady despite his wounds. Not ever. Good. Jiho stepped forward. He was glowing so bright now that Yuna and Taeyeon had to shield their eyes. This is for everyone you have hurt, Jiho said. For Minho, for Hannah, for every world you destroyed. For every life you stole. This ends now. You released everything. All the power he had absorbed, all the energy he had collected, all of it focused into a single beam aimed directly at the anchor. The explosion was beyond description. Light consumed everything. The anchor shattered. The demon dimension itself seemed to scream. Velos was caught in the blast. His body disintegrated. His mind scattered into nothing. The great rift began to collapse. Taeyeon grabbed Yuna. They grabbed Jiho. They ran for the rift as reality crumbled around them. Demons fled in all directions, their empire destroyed, their god dead. They made it through just as the rift sealed behind them forever. Earth's sky was blue again. The sun was shining. The demon fleet was gone, destroyed or scattered when their dimension collapsed. The war was over. Jiho was unconscious in their arms. His body was burned and broken. His absorption ability was gone forever, burned out by his final attack. But he was alive. Somehow, impossibly, he was alive. "Worth it," he whispered when he woke, and he smiled. Years passed. The galaxy healed. The liberated species formed the Galactic Restoration Alliance, with humans as founding members. Monuments stood on 100 worlds. Statues of human soldiers who had faced demons and refused to break. Every monument carried the same inscription. Written in every known language, they were not gods. They were not chosen. They were human. And that was enough. Admiral Taeyoon stood before a new class of Vanguard recruits. He was older now. Gray touched his hair, but his eyes were still sharp. His voice was still strong. "The galaxy called us saviors," he said. "But we were just people who refused to give up. That is the human way. That is our legacy. And as long as one of us stands, the darkness will never win." The recruits cheered. The sun shone. And somewhere in the vast spaces between stars, peace finally reigned. The war was over. Humanity had won.